Isa!
Hello everyone and welcome. I am Razim and this is Rooms and Reptiles Dungeons and Dragons. Thank you Cogwhistle and Vexlight for those follows. And also welcome. Good to see all of you. Near, Kodab, Ikrit, Bueasels, hey, good to see you. Dova, if you'd be so kind.
Of course. Last time on Rooms and Reptiles, this comes from our party member, Raku. Had a brain fart there. He won't be joining us today, but he did write this nice little intro for us. After waking up from a long-needed nap, Charlotte and I spent some time in the workshop to recuperate from the intense resting. We overheard someone yelling about a cat in the wall. Eventually, we were called to join Rock and the rest of the group as he had prepared a delicious but fiery hot meal for the party. The next day, Eric's arranged a meeting for the crew to discuss grievances against Infel. I think it was a good step. Though we ended with Eric's hosting a tea party, I'm not exactly sure what all that was about. This time, on Rooms and Reptiles, we continue the voyage of the crew of the the Pending. as they continue southwards towards a city on the southern coast of the Faerun continent, where they may repair their airship to become airworthy once again. They've been waylaid a number of times by a few less than savory individuals, monsters, such stuff like that. But they are making good headway now, and possibly might expect to make it there within a few weeks if charts and math are anything to go by. Currently, you guys have just passed by the Shark's Bane Wall, a tremendous wall towering over the ocean, left over from a bygone era. Some of you know of the origin, but others don't. After tossing tossing an effigy off the side of the ship for good luck, you pass through without much incident. And after a quick stop in another town, you are continuing on your way. There's the map. Okay. For some reason, I just could not find the map. So, you guys are sailing onwards. It is partly cloudy today. The wind is fairly strong, and you guys are making good time. Every so often, you guys do see some other traffic, but they've stayed clear of you as you have of them. And eventually, first of all, what are all of you guys doing right now? It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, so you guys have probably finished your morning routines and have begun your normal watch periods, or done or started to do whatever you like to do during daytime. All right, what are you guys doing?
I'm gonna, keep sailing the ship.
All right. Cobalt? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Rockrock.
No, do Cobalt first.
All right. Cobalt.
I'll send you what I'm going to be doing in a whisper.
All right. Rockrock, what are you doing then?
I'm in my room, planning.
Very well. What about you, Infel?
I'm probably just gonna be hanging with the crew.
Right.
And I mean, just the kobolds, seeing what they're up to, and probably moving some stuff around if it needs carrying around.
Very well. Oops. Here.
Oh, well, whatever.
Awesome. As you're mingling with the crew, you're continuing to, get to know them better. There's really not much work to be done right now, and at the moment, quite a few of them are trying to find ways to pass the time. Playing a few, basically board games with some handmade pieces. And before you really get into that, there's a call from above deck. The spotter is calling out some land to the east of you. Land that is much, much closer, possibly an island. Eric's, as you are currently sort of in your quarters and hearing the call, what do you do?
I'll go up onto the deck.
All right. Coming up on deck, you see, and Infel, you are currently below decks, but you would have heard that call. Eric's, looking in the direction, you eventually do spot a small landmass off to your, off to the starboard side of the ship. Correction, port side. It's off to the east on the map. And as far as you know, there's not supposed to be any islands in this area. You know that you didn't make any plans about sailing around any islands. You didn't remember any islands on the map as you sort of looked over it as you went about your daily morning businesses. So you're not quite sure.
Well, I don't know.
It's a relatively small landmass as far as you can tell from this distance. Though no other real characteristics or detail can be gleaned from this distance. It's about, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 miles off.
I'll call everybody up.
Alright. Eventually you guys all hear the news that you're being gathered up on the top deck of the ship. Infel, since you're right below, you'd hear it first, and then eventually Rock, and Cobalt, you would hear it as well.
Well, I'm gonna rise up and check that out.
Alright. Rock?
Yeah, I'll go up.
Cobalt?
Of course.
Alright. And as you're sort of pulled away from your business, the Gestalt who delivered the message sort of looks into the room that you were working in. And almost kind of scratches at his neck, a little bit nervous. And Eric's currently manning the tiller is Gort. As in the morning, Iastal could not be found.
Oh, joy.
Alright, as all of you start to make your way up to the top deck, the island comes closer and you get a little bit more detailed view. It's rather small, almost like maybe it looks like an oval shape, with a rather dense canopy of trees on it. The trees are somewhat tall, forming a rather dense area of foliage. The island itself appears to be about 1 mile on each side. Possibly less than that, more like half a mile. Alright.
Can I roll a perception check?
Sure. What are you looking for?
To see if I see any signs of life on the shore.
Go ahead.
Recent activity.
You don't see any smoke trails, no docks, no boats near the shore, so from this distance you're really unable to tell.
Alright. I looked at Eric's and point to the little island and ask, is that Schult?
I don't think so. If it is, well, it's definitely not where it should be.
We are horribly off course.
Then there's no need to
Captain,
go.
what the fuck?
Honestly, that's kind of my idea here, is that we have no reason to really investigate this. No motivation. At least not in character. Out of character, it's like, hey, maybe.
Hey, Dovo, what does my cartographer's map say?
Pulling out your cartographer's map, it's kind of weird. It shows the landmass there, but there's no name. Instead, there's only a symbol. It's the symbol of a single torch with no flame.
Ooh, I'm getting some strong dark edge vibes right there. Burnt
Some
out
strong what?
torch.
A single symbol of a torch with no flame. Whereas the rest of the notable features on your map have been sort of filled in with maybe short descriptions if there's no name or full names. This one doesn't have any actual letters at all, just that symbol.
This obviously means it's a miscellaneous unexplored dungeon.
Maybe.
A cat 4 cities ago.
And then after we beat the final boss at the end and get all the treasure, then the torch will be lit, and it means then it's explored.
It's up for you to find out.
Also, there will be a convenient exit back to the surface right at the end that we somehow did not
Exactly.
notice
Yeah,
from
Just like
the
you
outside.
pull a lever,
Pull a lever and it,
all
yeah.
goes down, yeah, and then you're back at the beginning, and it's great.
I'll look over to the kobold today. You want some field practice?
The kobolds, some of which have gathered round and sort of looked at you, looked at the island. Some of them nod. The more intrepid ones, the more meek ones, just kind of back away and try to be less visible.
Well, I mean,
Eric.
if Dova wants us to go somewhere, there's an idea.
Eric, this will probably be good for you. You'll be on land.
I just like that idea for making us go somewhere.
Well, I mean, someone's got to provide some incentive. So I guess that'll be me.
Alright, let's go ahead and go. I'll start.
Now, do you want to go to the island?
I'll start issuing orders for one of the longboats to be dropped and the, whatever you call it.
I'll start telling some of the kobolds to gear up like I told them.
Alright. As they start to gear up, grabbing rather unuseful things. One of them brings a full mess kit, including a large pot, very, very large pot. One of them, for some reason, is bringing a wagon wheel. And some of them are bringing just useless crap. Almost their equivalent weight.
Alright, I'm gonna take them to the side and start properly organizing their gear. Like, alright, no. You'll take this, and if you want this, you'll have to make room for it.
Have we actually trained them in combat?
Combat, yes. Some of them. Expeditioning, like adventuring and expeditioning, not really.
Well, I'd like them all to have, like, a pack to carry things. I'm gonna make sure they can carry this reasonably.
It takes about an hour or so and to kind of get everything ready. Get your own equipment as well as outfit the kobolds properly. In the end, about 7-ish are coming with. The rest of which are either too busy or little too skittish at this point to come with. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. Oh, yes. In this time, you have gotten much, much closer. The island is roughly circular, more or less, with, again, this very, very dense, heavy foliage. There is a rather thin beach on most sides. Some sides have more of a cliff leading into the water, but there are beaches to land at. And as far as you can tell, Rock, you're continuing to look in. You actually do see a path leading inwards. You're unable to tell if it's like a path made by animals or or humans, or sort of like humanoid creatures.
Hey guys,
Okay.
before I forget, currently my Leoman secret chest only contains the deck of many things. Because before we had a bunch of useless stuff in it, like miscellaneous weapons, in case we lost them. But I don't like those are useless now, so I just tossed them and put the deck of many things in. Is there anything big and cumbersome that we don't want to carry that we might want to put in there?
We do also have the longboat that can carry stuff, but I don't think we've got anything we want to bring. Also,
No, yeah, I meant for like adventuring.
Apart from food and water, perhaps?
Weasels, yes, I think Zell will be going along on the mission. And thank you very much for that donation. So Iastall has her canvas fund.
Hey Dova.
Yeah?
What was that sorcerer kobold that I was mentoring?
I forget his name.
I forget his name too, and I feel bad about it.
I don't think we ever came up with one.
No, he had a name. Like
He had
before
a
we
name.
started,
Alright, let me-
doing all the viewer made kobolds.
It's not Gort.
Are you looking for all the name kobolds? He's just not even there.
He's in here somewhere. There we go. I got the name. His name is Tatru.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So you got a name. Got it.
It was only said like once.
You said Tatru?
Yep, Tatru.
Is he coming with?
Yes, actually, he will be.
Sweet. Mages are good.
Well, I'm overseeing our joining kobolds then. I'd recommend that they all have something to cut with, something to smash with, and armor.
All right.
Oh, I forgot. I also keep my actual spellbook in Leoman's secret chest as well.
Very well.
Whenever I need to look at it for any reason, I just conjure it with my ability.
That's pretty smart.
Thanks.
So, if nothing else, we will continue. As the longboat is lowered downwards, everybody's prepared everything, gotten all their packed together, brought their food, brought anything for possibly an extended stay. As you guys set off, you eventually start to hear the sound of insects, of various songbirds chirping, as the sounds of land begin to overtake the sounds of the sea. With a thump and a somewhat of a crunch, the longboat beaches itself on the island, on the rather white bleached sand of the beach. You can see up ahead that there is indeed a path leading into the jungle. The path itself is rather narrow. It doesn't appear that it was cut, but more forced open by some sort of animal on the island, as far as you can tell. Actually, Eric, could you give me a nature check?
Boom!
You see this, but nobody else does.
Boy, I bet that feels good.
There's something about this trail that's not quite right with you. You're not able to tell exactly what it is about it, but there's something wrong with it. All right. I assume you guys are going to get off the boat.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna be on land at least, and then we're gonna decide marching order.
Oh wait, how many people are coming with us?
Us and seven kobolds.
kobolds.
And one of them is
Including,
L.
and then the 4 of us.
Seven
Okay.
kobolds. One of which is Zell, the other is Tatru, and then 5 others. Just sort of random crew members who decided to come with. As they sort of wait to see if you guys jump off. They're following you guys fairly close behind.
Oh no. We got red shirts.
No, we don't.
Yeah, 5. They aren't wearing shirts, most of them. So yeah, that is true.
They're just red.
Just red.
Yeah, and
Just like
they're
our
red
truck.
scales. Red scales.
Oh, 3 of them have red scales.
I'm gonna be keeping an eye on you guys. I'm not gonna tell you why though.
They kind of nod, a little bit concerned, but they're probably sure it's nothing. As you guys start to pull the boat onto the beach, getting it secured so it doesn't move around, you guys start to head into the jungle. What is your guys' marching order?
Cobalt is
I-
somewhere in the middle.
I'd imagine Eric's in the front.
He is very perceptive, yes.
I would
He
be
is also-
behind the tank, whoever wants to be that. So
I'm
probably
thinking
Rock
of
Rock.
either taking front or back, just in case.
Info, you go in front, I'll be behind you. Rock Rock will be the rear guard.
Alright. Kobolds, stay in the middle.
I
Other
go to
kobolds.
the party page with the order section. And I believe that is going to be good for you guys, right?
Should be.
Infel in front, Eric second, Cobalt third, and Rock fourth.
Hopefully Raku will actually get on from his phone at least. He said he was going to try.
He's stealthing us in such secrecy that we forgot he's there.
Yeah, Rock would be last because he's very disinterested, but he would just follow the group just to make sure nothing super bad happens to him.
All right.
Raku's gotten so good at sneaking, he's not here anymore.
Mhm.
He ceased
Alright.
to exist.
He rolled a natural 30. He's just gone.
Could I get perception checks from all of you, please?
Yes.
It depends, Dova. Do you want a perception check from me, or do you want a good perception check?
Yeah, that's
Just
good.
kidding, you got both.
All right. You guys continue along the path. The path is rather thin. The ground made up of the sort of dead, trampled plant matter, bits of grass and ferns, sometimes a broken branch or two. You guys are a little on edge. It's kind of claustrophobic on this path, and the jungle turns into a very sort of dark, a dark tangle, past maybe 10 or 15 feet out, and not much can be seen or heard from beyond that far. There's a little bit of sunlight filtering in through the canopy, but otherwise it's fairly dim. Very sort of pleasant shade, though.
Good.
Rock.
Yep.
you hear rather heavy, fast footsteps coming up from behind you.
I'm gonna pull my axe and turn quickly around.
All right. You, with practice ease, you draw the axe and whip around to see nothing. As the sound stops as soon as you look back.
Despite the
Was it
gloom,
coming?
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, was it coming directly behind me or just like coming at me?
Coming directly behind you, almost following the path, as far as you could tell.
I'm gonna shoot 2 Eldritch Blasts into the side of the pathway.
Cobalt, what's your passive perception?
9.
Go ahead and roll attack. Yeah, for the 3 bolts. As the bolts kind of spiral out directly down the path, just a little bit of deviation. One slams into the dirt, one into a tree trunk, and one kind of spirals and zips off into the canopy, making it quite a racket as it crashes through a good amount of leaves before disappearing. All of you guys hear this, and as you turn around to look, you see a very empty space where there once was 7 kobolds. There are now 3.
I'm agitated instantly.
Oh,
Alright, I missed some of that. So the kobolds that were working in the line, some of them went missing.
Yes.
Okay, because
Either-
like my connection's still not that great, so it went out. So I thought blasted some of the kobolds.
I did too.
No.
Were they behind Rock?
Not
They were
anymore.
behind. They were in between you and kobolds. Rock.
Do you think they ran off?
Well, whatever it is, Eric's gonna be, or Infel's gonna be looking quite mad.
And as the calm sort of as the sound echoes very briefly through the jungle, a few birds sort of taking flight somewhere in the canopy. You all would realize that you are missing the 4 kobolds, including
happened?
the other kobolds remaining. One of which is Zell, the other Tatru, and one random kobold.
Alright, kobolds, line up around me. One of you take each hand and the other grab my tail. And don't let go.
I'll hold his tail.
Eric's, Rock, they're stealing tiny ones.
Oh, Rock's on high guard since he heard something coming at him.
What happened to the rest of them?
I don't know. Let's go find them. But we're gonna have to take some additional safety measures, because whatever did this is either magical or very fast.
Can I check the ground?
What are you looking for?
Trapdoors.
Go ahead and roll perception. What are you trying to do, Eric's?
Looking
If
for
you're
a
trying to-
trail or signs of where they went.
Ah,
Broken branches and such.
okay.
I'm thinking of like creatures that are under the ground, grabbing them.
Okay. As you sort of look around on the ground, even running your hands over the tracks that they were making, you notice that for all of them, the tracks almost seem to fade. There's no instance in where there's one track and then the next one just never comes. It's almost as if each step is progressively lighter and lighter, going from full depth to maybe 0 depth in 4 steps.
Hey, Dova?
Yeah?
I'm gonna use my robe of stars to go into the astral plane.
Forget the astral plane is...
And
the-
It's like space.
Alright.
There's the ethereal plane, which is like parallel to the normal plane, and then there's the astral plane, which is like space and more of a spirit scape.
Eric's looking for trails, maybe signs of something big moving through. You don't happen to find them. Although now that even though you're feeling this almost dread from having these kobolds disappear, there's a strange sensation of calm that this jungle purveys. Though you're unsure what about it is. You would happen to notice that up ahead the trail seems to currently you're very slightly climbing, and up ahead you can see that the trail drops off. As far as exits from the trail, you're not really seeing any. In fact, you're coming to realize that this trail is very, very uniform. Whereas before you'd see crossroads, you'd see places where animals have bed down for the night inside these game trails. You're not seeing that.
Shot in the dark here. Do you think this takes us to another plane at random?
I mean, anything's possible. I doubt it, but...
can I cast
do I-
detect magic?
Go ahead.
Do I see anything weird in the astral plane?
Give me a minute.
Okay,
Cobalt.
that's fine.
Sorry. Have you been to the astral plane before?
I don't think so, actually.
All right, wonderful. With a small thump, you see as Cobalt, his cloak shimmers for a few moments before disappearing. Cobalt, you are now falling. With no frame of reference around you, your stomach up in your throat, and a very faint, very muffled wind screaming around you. As you are most definitely falling.
I'm gonna think to stop falling.
Alright? As you slowly come to a halt. The initial shock fading away, your eyes start to adjust to the area around you, and you see nothing. There's a faint white glow in the background, with dots of light far off. Very, very somewhat rarely you'll see bits of smudges in front of your face, bits of fog a few meters away, but there's really not much here, as far as you can tell.
You said these bits of light in the distance. They look like stars, right?
Yes.
Okay. There's nothing here, so I guess I'll go back to the material plane.
All right. Go ahead, give me an Arcana check. All right. Interacting with the magic in your cloak, you will yourself back, and make sure to mention that you want to be back in the same place, along with your almost mental request.
Yes.
As you end up about 1 to 2 feet to the left of your original position. and are kind of tangled up in the vines and various ferns off to the side of the trail. Right next to your companions, though.
Cobalt's going to announce, they weren't in the astral plane. And I'm going to cast Blink.
Alright. Rock.
Yep.
With your eyes of magic, you see something kind of unnerving below your feet. Maybe 5. It's not that far down. Maybe about 6 inches down into the soil. There's this strange sort of bright, almost a green teal color. It looks like it follows the trails, and as you watch further, it almost it rhythmically undulates, with a small increase and decrease of intensity with each almost pulse.
Is this a ley line?
I'm going to Sora and ask her what it is.
Sora, after a while, is going to say, actually, give me a bit more time with this.
Yeah, come back to me.
I'll get back to that. So, what are the rest of you guys doing?
I'd like to unsheath my moonlight sword and look how far the light travels.
Alright.
You already know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're casting Blink. Go ahead and roll that die. There you go. As you disappear into the immaterial plane. As you draw the blade, you find that you don't see anything wrong with the intensity of the moonlight. The sort of not really moonlight, but more this sort of silvery white light that's emitting from it.
I'm gonna trace it along the ground with the sword, see if there's any reaction to the magical weapon.
Alright. As you drag it along the ground, it leaves a trail much like it would in regular soil, as well as it cuts through the various trampled grasses and ferns quite easily, like really easily. And yeah, that's really about it.
Good boys, I'll keep holding onto my tail.
They are. And you check and everyone is still attached.
Except for Cobalt.
Yeah, he's gone.
But you probably know that Cobalt doesn't really stay in the same dimension all the time.
No. But hey, at least I have a long tail for them to all have very solid perches. Alright. This is interesting.
Eric's is going to scratch the numbers 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42 into the ground.
All right. Why?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking this might be the Lost thing.
Oh. I've never watched Lost. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, I was going to say... well, fine then.
But no, that wouldn't really do much. Sora eventually does get back to you, Rock, and says, "These are conduits for a somewhat lively kind of magic. It feels like Fae, but less dickish."
Rock chuckles at that. He's gonna follow him.
All right. As Rock begins to continue moving, continuing down the path uphill towards that drop off that you saw, Eric's. All right. The rest of you guys, are you going to continue, or are you going to stay here?
Of course I am. If we're both going, I'm just gonna start marching as well.
Yeah, I'll go along as well. Still want to figure out what happened to the others, but okay.
All right.
We'll find out if we unravel the mysteries.
You guys
If they're
continue.
not okay, there's going to be hell.
As you guys continue onwards, you eventually come to that area where the land slopes downwards as Cobalt reappears in the material plane, about 30 to 40 feet behind you all.
And there's no one in there, right?
As far as you could tell, no. There was something kind of interesting, though. When you were in the material plane, you were almost completely engulfed by the greenery. In fact, in the immaterial plane, it didn't seem that the pathway was there at all.
Oh, so like it was overgrown with plants and stuff, the pathway was?
Yes.
Interesting. I'm gonna point this out to Zim in particular.
All right.
Hold
As
on.
you sort
Hold
of run your way up towards the group, who are kind of far ahead.
Zim, I noticed when I was in the
As he disappears.
immaterial plane that the pathway is covered with. You get the point. I'd tell him about the pathway covered with grass and everything being overrun with nature.
In a series of very terse sort of bits and pieces.
Eric's is going to look around in confusion. Does anybody else know who this Zim person is? He sounds awesome, but I don't know him.
Yeah, dang it. Did I say...
I've got
Oh,
strange
said
feelings
Zim.
about him.
You misheard me. I said Krim. Yes, I said.
Uh-huh.
What's the point of having a last name if it's never used? I thought I might spice things up a bit.
All right, well, what do you think about that, Raku, since he's talking to you?
Your last name is Krim too. And also, Raku's not here.
So
Yeah.
it is.
Come on, Eric, remember your backstory.
I remember
At least
it.
remember your name.
Oh no, this is gonna turn into a loss after all.
As a monster made of smoke. All right. You guys are currently at the
it
top
was a
of
polar bear.
You're currently at the top of a slope leading downwards. It appears that the soil has been sort of there's no plant matter covering of the soil, and actually it looks kind of wet, almost muddy. And Phil, you're
Wait a
number one
minute.
in line.
Hey, Dova.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm going to end the blink spell as an action. Apparently, I can do that. I
Alright.
actually read the spell for once.
Very well. Make sure you're marking off your spell slots.
Yes, I did. Hold on. Okay. I read Dispel Magic. I'm gonna try to Dispel Magic and touch the ground.
Alright.
It says specifically that it has to be like It usually says any spell level third or lower is instantly dispelled, and you have to roll for higher levels.
How
So
do
it
you
kind of
know?
makes it seem like it only affects like actual spells, not like natural magic. But
You
I figured
could
I'd give it a
certainly
shot
try.
Yeah, let's say I'll give it a shot anyway.
All right. As you sort of almost have an epiphany in your head, you kind of look around and you point at a spot in the ground. You guys hear a little muttering as Cobalt basically tries to cut the magic in the area.
I'm focusing on the pathway that we're on.
As you do so, you complete the spell, and all of you hear as the wind picks up for a moment. The trees above you sort of shifting and creaking as they're moved by a decently heavy wind. The leaves rustle, and quite a few birds take flight. Before long, that... And actually, can I get a perception check from all of you?
For a change, I'm actually rolling well again.
I don't
Yeah.
see shit.
Infel and Eric's, you would notice this. Infel, you're looking ahead, and Eric's, you're kind of looking back at Cobalt, who's doing this. And as you almost look past them, you see the path beyond shifts. As where there was a right-hand curve before, there's now a left-hand curve.
Huh. So we're being misled.
Interesting. I thought the entire path itself was an illusion, but this helps too, I guess.
You would
I'm
not
gonna
have noticed that,
look
Cobalt.
back and do a head count
Oh.
again.
Oh, well, okay. Ignore what I just said, apparently.
Looking back, you notice everyone is still with you. Everyone that's left, that is. The 3 kobolds still remain.
I don't look happy, but it's not gotten worse, so there's that. Hmm.
Hey, Zim, can you... Oh, God dang it. Krim! Eric's, can you talk to the plants? Or the trees and see what might be going on? I don't know what kind of powers a druid might have.
I certainly can. I will cast the Speak with Plants.
All right. It's a strange sort of thing that you hear. You start to hear this faint chorus. Quite literally, the plants are all very softly singing. The song itself is very slow, calm, with this sort of a very slow, methodical rhythm. There's no words to go along with it. But yeah. That's all that you can tell without actually, directly talking to one of the plants.
Alright, I will speak to them and ask about what's going on this island and if they know where our red scales went.
One of the trees, kind of the larger ones next to you, just kind of says, "Not much going on with me. What's going on with you?"
Sorry, lost my train of thought. We were just looking around the island, looking for the, we're looking around the island trying to find out what happened to our other kobolds now.
Ah. There is more kobolds?
Yes.
Ah. Where'd they run off to?
One second. Creeper Lord, as I told you last night, you are not allowed to join the voice while we are doing D&D. If you want to hear the audio, the best way to hear it is through the stream. You cannot join the voice while we're doing D&D. I am assuming that he was joining and you were moving him out, Dova?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I told you last night you could not join tonight. It's not a matter of if you're going to talk or not, you're not allowed to join. In the future, I'm going to be setting it up so that it'll depend on the order of people in here. My output is on max, dude. You're just not allowed to join. I'm sorry.
Alright, shall we continue?
Yes. What did you say?
Last thing the tree said was, oh, your kobold friends, where'd they run off to?
We don't know, that's why I'm asking you.
Well, we do get some people coming through here every so often. Last I remember, last group of people who came through was, oh, that was a lot of moons ago. Like more than leaves than I have. I was a little sapling when they came through last. The group kind of looked like you. Bit of a mismatch of heights and barks, but they walked through the trails and they left, and well, I didn't see much of them ever again. Didn't hear anything of them getting chopped down or something like that, so I think they just went off a different direction.
I think the others would be able to hear this.
You can translate it and sort of give a play-by-play if you want.
Yeah, I would be relaying it.
All right. So everyone would be hearing, in Eric's words, what the tree is saying. As Eric's, with a small, almost a magically assisted voice, is emitting these sort of swaying, creaking noises through a slightly opened maw. A lot of good vibes here, man.
Of course, the tree would say that. And the people before us never seemed panicked or upset.
I'm not good at reading how you guys feel. Move a bit too fast and really kind of small faces.
I see.
And would you be relaying your party members' questions to the tree as well, Eric?
Of course, yeah.
Alright. They didn't seem all that jittery, though.
If other people were to be moved, is there a place you imagine they'd go?
There's a lot of trails around here.
More than what we're seeing?
I'd say so. Sometimes it feels like I'm in two places at once, even. Feels like, well, my roots are still there, but it's almost like I'm rooted in two places. kind of stretched. I think that last time I felt that was just a few moons ago. I heard about some other people coming through. Didn't actually see them.
Does this happen at regular intervals?
Only when the people are coming through. Eventually that feeling goes away and things go back to normal.
So it's reactionary magic. If that.
Whatever you say.
Is there a way to find these paths we don't see? Or do we just leave the path?
I don't know. I never really left this spot. I wouldn't know.
Sure enough. Anyone else?
I'm just a bit lost on this whole thing.
Rock's still following his thing.
So you left us behind?
He didn't realize you guys stopped.
Oh.
Could you
but
give me
I keep asking questions.
Could you give me a dexterity saving throw, Rock?
Sure. Hold on. +2 to that.
All right. You sort of clamber down the downward path and continue onwards. You guys would notice as you hear the crunch of various dead sticks and any sort of dead foliage on the ground as he goes down the path and continues onwards.
I would call out to Rock to stop him.
I don't stop. I'm too enthralled in this green thing. It's bright and shiny.
You say that out loud?
No, he just keeps going.
All right.
He thinks it loudly.
Well, I guess Eric's will rush off, thank the tree for his time, and then, rush off to, catch up.
The tree, as you walk away, you hear a small creaking and whooshing sound, and as you look back, it's actually sort of bending a branch back and giving a very slow, relaxed wave. Don't you worry too much here. Island takes care of you.
Well, I'd be more happy and relaxed if our friends weren't missing.
The tree doesn't respond. Instead, its sort of slow, gravelly voice continues to hum as it was doing before. All right. Is everyone continuing down the path, down the slight slope?
Yes, we are.
Infel. Actually, everyone, could you give me a dexterity saving throw?
Okay.
Even me?
No, not you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Actually, everyone except for Rock failed it. So,
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
As you guys are going down the path, first one for this to occur to would be Infel.
Oh wait, hold on. No, I suppose it doesn't count. I looked at the feed I got and it said I should add my shield AC to my dexterity saving throws. So it'd be 17, I guess, plus mantle 18. No, 19.
Shield
Right,
adds
abilities.
What?
I got shield master.
shield mass. Hold on. Shieldmaster feat.
Yes, plus my aura of protection, I believe it was, gives everyone +2 to saves.
Hey, Neon, thank you so much for that $12 donation. That is very much appreciated, man. And happy birthday as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's
the Shieldmaster feat, it specifically is magic or effects targeting only you.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
Well, I still have aura of protection, so it's +2 to everyone within 10 feet of me.
All right. So then Eric's would make it. Infel you would not. And Kobold you would still not. And as you are making your way
Eric
down
and
this...
I rolled the same thing.
Oh, do you add it to your own?
Yeah, it's me and everyone in 10 feet.
Oh, you and... Okay. Then everyone except Kobold would make it.
Oh, what a...
Okay.
We missed it by that much. Or made it
As
by that
Kobold...
much.
As you guys are making your way down the slope, you find that it's rather slippery, actually. And Cobalt, as you're making your way down, you step on a rock that's not quite attached as your foot sort of slips out from under you. You tumble downwards, not really going end over end, but more sliding. And as you do so, you sort of bump into one of the kobolds that is anchored onto, and this is actually the Tatru, slipping down the slope as he's knocked loose as you guys sort of tumble end over end down this hill.
Oh no, I have to grab them.
At some point, both of you guys sort of almost slip off the edge of the trail into the undergrowth. As there's a rather loud sort of crashing sound behind you, Eric's and Rock. Eric's, you would have made it down to the bottom of the hill by now. Alright, and Cobalt, you sort of get up, brush yourself off. Nothing's broken, nothing's lost, as far as you can tell.
That's good. Who's here now?
Well,
What was his name again?
Tatru, and
Tatru.
as far as you remember, you were falling down with him, but you look around, you can't find him.
Hmm.
You could have swore he was right there. Right there with you right next to you in the undergrowth.
Time to double time it down there, because, people are straying from the pack.
I'm just gonna look around for a moment.
Alright. You see Infel sort of hurrying down with a few kobolds still in tow. You have Zell, who is looking very, very concerned at this point, as well as one other random kobold. But you would make it down to the bottom of the slope without much incident.
Cool. I'm gonna start cutting down these plants.
Alright. With your sword, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Alright.
I'm just gonna start clearing the brush to look for them.
Mm-hmm. As you start hacking through it with your, basically, machete, you eventually... What's your passive perception?
My passive perception, I believe it's 12.
Okay.
Yes, 12.
You would notice Cobalt, as he is quite bright blue against the background of green, as you sort of cut through the last piece of foliage, obscuring him. And you do not find Tatru.
Huh.
Hi, Infel.
Walt, are you okay?
Yes, I fell. Infel.
Yes, I see. Good. Where's Tatru?
I don't know. He was here a second ago. I think. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna hold on to his tail again.
All right then. Hold on very firmly. Because this is making me upset. In fact, does anyone have rope?
I might.
I have some.
Does not look like it. I can conjure rope, but it only lasts for an hour.
Infel will produce a 50 length or 50-foot length of rope, hempen rope, and order for everyone to tie it around their hips.
Eric's will go ahead and do so.
All right.
Like a chain.
Rock. Up ahead a bit.
Yep.
You eventually come to what looks like a clearing. And as you sort of enter into this clearing, you realize it's almost circular. The heavy undergrowth acting almost like a wall on the edges of the clearing. And inside this clearing is what looks to be a circular sort of stone, very heavily weathered and almost overgrown by the various grasses and moss. Strangely inscribed circular, almost altar. Rather large, around maybe 30 or 40 feet in diameter. And along the perimeter are 5 featureless humanoid statues. No arms, no legs. It seems to just be the torso and the head. It's unknown whether they're male or female, as they're fairly featureless, including the face.
Is this a religious icon?
You're not sure. You're not there yet.
What does
Oh,
my
sorry.
special
Just
eye
sorry.
see?
You see that this is definitely the center of this sort of almost natural magic. And as you emerge, what's your passive perception?
17.
Behind you, you hear the sound of creaking and straining vines. As you sort of look behind you, you see that the opening into the pathway has been, or is being completely covered up by these intertwined vines, seemingly trapping you here.
As Rock does a very Rock thing, he just shrugs. and he goes towards the altar.
All right.
Thinking to Sora what her impression is of this place.
Very well. For the rest of you, let us figure out what's going on with that. You guys are continuing down the path, now tied together at this point. As you guys continue onwards, you eventually come to what looks to be the various branches, the sort of sagging branches of a weeping willow. These strands sort of dangling down into the pathway, so that you'd have to sort of pass through them and push some aside to continue through. All right, would you guys continue forward then?
Yep, we advance.
All right. As you start to continue forward, So the rope is currently tied around the waist of the kobolds, correct? Of all of you guys.
Yes,
All
with
right.
me at the end, or well, the front. I'm like the pillar.
All right. There's, as you guys are sort of passing through, brushing the various branches and leaves out of the way, there's a flash of motion just beside you, Infel, as the as of yet unnamed kobold is, and it's a very strange motion to describe, as it was almost entirely visual. There was almost no sound. There was almost no wind from the event, as he is whisked upward.
I
There's
don't suppose I could just try and swat this with just reaction alone, or is it just too fast?
For him, it's too fast. As before you're able to react, the as of yet unnamed kobold is suddenly pulled into the air by one of these branches. There's a quiet snapping noise as the rope tied around his waist. You're not sure what happens to it, but the remainder of it falls to the ground in front of you, untied.
I'm just gonna look up.
You see bits of sunlight filtering through the branches of this weeping willow, almost tracing rays into the somewhat moist air.
What the fuck? How? Eric, did you see that?
You would have heard a brief noise, as almost like a whip-like noise. And as you look back, Eric, you notice that that last sort of just unnamed kobold has disappeared, replaced by a sort of coiled bit of rope.
Is the rope torn, or is it just
Untied. As you recall, you did a pretty solid job on that knot.
This? How fast can one thing be?
Is
Man,
the
I'm
rope
impressed.
so the rope is untied now?
Yes. And for some reason, Rock, the sort of vein that's leaning back to the path that you were in, it's sort of it makes a really strong sort of pulsing motion for a brief moment, and you're kind of unsure why it did that.
I'll take a mental note of that as I keep approaching the altar.
All right. And I guess an altar isn't really the right word for it. It's sort of a large circular stone platform.
Yeah.
It's maybe an inch off the ground. There's no pedestal in the middle. It's just sort of heavily engraved stone. Various channels running in from the outside into a center spot, a small pool, currently empty at the moment. Maybe 1 foot deep and 3 feet around in the middle.
What did Sora say about this?
Nothing yet. She's still thinking.
All right. I'm gonna just keep
sorry.
on. I'm gonna say I'll just keep approaching it closer.
All right. For the rest of you guys, what are you doing?
I'll be briefly bemused. Then I'm gonna put my shield away. I'm going to hoist Zell in one arm, around the torso, and just carry him next to me and saying, "Motherfucker, come try this."
Okay. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
All right. As you start to lift him up, you feel as though he's continuing to lift up. You reach and grab his ankle as the upward momentum from you lifting off the ground has just sort of continued.
Uh-oh.
As he is somewhat distraught, having been, and he's being pulled up into the air by some force right now. As he's currently sort of waving his arms and almost trying to swim downwards. Your weight and your grip has managed to keep him on the ground at the moment.
Oh, it's not only mine. Remember, everyone is tied to me.
Yes, that too. So, I'll say you've got one action.
And I can see nothing holding him up.
Not at the moment, no.
Interesting. What have I got?
Alright, let's say 10 seconds.
I mean, is he a willing target?
Yes.
Alright, so then I'm going to using Snaring Strike. It's a bonus action, and magical vines will, or wriggling mass of vines will appear. It will come to the point of impact, and the target is restrained by magical vines until the spell ends.
Alright.
I'll mark that off.
As vines almost climb up around your body, around your arm, and eventually sort of anchor themselves to Zell, they begin to pull him down.
I'm just gonna glare at this guy and say, alright, you tried it and you lost.
As Zell continues further and further towards the ground, he eventually sort of contacts the ground. As you're sort of forced to almost remove yourself from that pile of vines.
I'll dispel them.
Alright, you attempt to dispel them. Their vines are still there. And you're kind of confused for a moment until you see a very, very apparent expression of alarm from Zell as he begins sinking into the ground, the vines pulling him further downwards.
Okay, I'm just gonna start striking and say, no, this one's mine, damn you.
As you cut at the vines, more and more of the vines begin to sort of envelop him further as Zell is pulled downwards into the ground by the vines.
Well, I'm just gonna grab onto him and not let go as I keep cutting.
I'm there, aren't I?
You are.
I'm going to use... I'm going to use Wrath of Nature to try and control the vines to pull them away.
Alright. Go ahead and... Does it say in there how much force the vines have?
It does not.
I mean, Yeah.
Well, there's the strength saving throw you could roll.
Well, for vines, basically, I can use them to restrain people.
If the target succeeds on a strength saving throw, the vines shrivel away. But this also is a concentration spell, or at least it was.
Strangely enough, you feel that it's almost as if your spell has been turned against you. It's almost wormed its way into your mind, and you're almost unable to drop the thought.
Who are you talking to?
To Infel, yes.
Okay. Does my Wrath of Nature have any effect? Also, Cobalt, Anir is very insistent that you start using the tuner.
If he doesn't think about it, he doesn't think about it.
I'm just
As
relaying
you-
the chat.
As reflexively seeing a massive vines animate and sort of pull Zell into the ground, you immediately channel your druidic energies to sort of tell it no. And you feel that energy almost deflect right off of it. In fact, the only thing that seems receptive of that command at this very moment seems to be everything but the vines and the tree. As the various small motions of the small saplings around you, as well as the ferns and the grass, they almost seem to slow down, resisting the wind somewhat.
Well, if I can't directly control those vines, I'll control everything else that I can and have them stop the vines.
At this point, it would be too late, as Zell is sucked under the ground,
Great, now
yelling
my
out
arms-
one last cry of alarm before disappearing beneath the earth, leaving nothing but a chunk of disheveled soil. And that, after a moment, sort of
Right.
collapses inwards as Infel, you notice that your concentration on the vines has been released for you.
Is my arm stuck in the ground? I was holding them pretty tight.
As you almost pull your hand upwards, you have nothing in it but bits of soil.
Alright, I guess I'll take out the tuner at the behest of Anir.
Alright.
Then look through it at the spot he was taken, I guess.
Alright. You notice that as you sort of pull it out, as you hastily begin to look through it, you see for a brief moment there is a multitude of sort of curling vine-like strings connecting the ground at that spot to Infel before they all start to almost rot and wither away.
I'm just
Looking
gonna start
around you-
stomping these withered vines. Fuck you. Absolutely fuck you.
Looking around you, you notice that a lot of the things in here are sort of connected with these not sort of taut strings or cables, as it were in most other locations, but sort of curling, branching, vine-like strings. And looking directly below, you can see there's something beneath the ground which sort of anchors all of these vine-like strings, leading almost exactly below the pathway. As you kind of look at it more, you notice that it gets a little bit stronger as you continue down the way that you were originally going.
I'm gonna try to tug at the string that's anchoring all the vines together. Not necessarily like yank it or try to break it.
Okay. As you
Just
sort
see
of,
if I can affect it at all.
as you pull on it, it almost gives way beneath your metaphorical touch. Very, very pliable. It seems that without any further practice, using the tuner on these types of strings will only yield local results. Basically only affecting one spot. As the sort of metaphysical motion between the strings isn't really isn't transferred very well over distance. And as you kind of pull at it, you notice that there's a strange smell of mushrooms in the air for a moment that dissipates after a brief, about 5 seconds. and all of you would smell this. Except for Rock, of course.
Yeah, I'm in my own little thingy with a rock. That's my name.
Infel's looking pretty pissed right now. And he says, "I'm gonna stab the next thing I see. I swear to God."
Alright, I guess we should keep walking, but I'm gonna keep the tuner out.
All right.
Come on, what is that?
I can see magic with it. That's pretty much all he says.
Oh, that's handy, I guess. Well, everyone make sure your rope's secure.
As the remaining members begin to basically just check the ropes. None of the sort of Kobold crew members are remaining at this time.
You know what? I'm just gonna hold Cobalt under my arm now, like. Like an angry parent.
Alright. As you angrily stomp onwards, you eventually come to an opening where it seems to open up into a clearing. And at about this time, Rock, you notice that you didn't see it before, but now you're hearing as Infel sort of stomps from an opening into the clearing. And you guys, as you would enter, would see Rock kind of just looking at the large sort of circular stone kind of a floor in the center of this clearing, with the 5 vaguely humanoid statues sort of looking inwards, evenly spaced around the perimeter.
Just gonna touch the rock.
Alright. You lean down, sort of touch the stone. It feels rough. It feels very, very weathered, sort of pockmarked with lots and lots of moss on it. And at about this time, Sora would come back and say, "This is a place of trial, it seems. I don't know what they mean by that, but for some reason, this place is thinking. And it wants to test you and those among you." And yes, I did see that, Eric's and Weasels. I'll get you something typed up here pretty soon. And Cobalt, Eric's, and Infel, you would have come into this clearing by now.
They would probably see Rock as Sora told him that his tail is just wagging super happily. He knows what trials are.
Mhm.
He knows what quote-unquote trials are, so his assumption is super happy tail wag. If they see on his face, he's just all teeth with grin.
Infel, Eric's, Cobalt, anything?
I'll give him a first grin carrying Cobalt. Hello, this land is stealing my friends.
I'll look at the statues through the tuner.
Alright. Each of the statues don't have very much magic in them whatsoever, except for one. One of which seems to be directly under the, almost the setting sun. As you sort of look at it, you see that the sun is directly behind it as viewed from the center of the pedestal. That one has a few strings sort of connecting it to the other statues, as well as sort of anchoring down into the large sort of knot, about 10 to 20 feet downwards below this this stone platform.
I'm gonna pull the tug on the one that's anchoring it to the big knot.
All right, you do so. As you sort of reach out and do so, you notice that the harder you pull on it, the harder that a force pulls on you. As you kind of give it a good yank, you are sort of moved forward about 3 feet, just sort of feet dragging along the.
He's under my arm.
Oh yeah, he is. As Infel, Cobalt is pulled forward by some sort of very strong force.
Oh, I'm so ready for it. Like, I'm gonna dig my feet in, like, no.
As Cobalt, you feel your spine popping as you think you might have grown a few centimeters. The upper half of your body being pulled forward and the lower half sort of anchored within Infel's grasp.
This is uncomfortable. I guess I'll let go of the string then.
Alright. As that sort of force relieves itself.
Okay, what was that? Did you do something? Or is the line just fucking with me again?
No,
Oh, you did.
I pulled something.
Okay, tell me more. Okay.
The Cobalt is going to explain how this thing works, and I'm not going to do it.
Just what he knows.
Can you give me an Arcana check, Infel?
I can, yes. That's the thing I can do.
Do remember, arcane magics are not the one that you are aware of. But you listen to them, and you sort of try to keep an open mind, and you start to understand the very basic premise of it. But he kind of shows it, he turns it around to you, and you look through it, and you don't know what you're looking at. And actually, it gives you a little bit of a headache.
Yeah, alright. This isn't the time for learning exactly, but... I'll try to learn this, maybe? He taps the screen a bit. How does it do? Like this, maybe? He's starting to toy the... Or is it not responding to him at all?
You're kind of clawing at it a little bit, and eventually you sort of almost push through a little barrier, and a small patch of grass in front of you, about maybe a foot in diameter, suddenly turns bright purple.
Oh, that's different.
After a few moments, there's a sort of wind that blows through it, and eventually it fades back into its normal green hue. At about this time, you would all notice that the path that you came in on has closed in, completely sealed off by these vines, as it somewhat meshes into the this very thick wall of foliage. As you hear a creaking and a rustling noise as 4 passageways open up from a respective stone statue. The one which you notice, Cobalt, that's connected to the rest of them does not have a pathway which leads off from it. In front of each pathway leading offwards into the forest, there is a small weathered wooden signpost that seems to grow up from the ground, bits of dirt spilling off and falling off into the grass. You can't read the inscriptions, but there is something written on each one.
Is it
Hey,
that they're in a
Rock,
different-
did you learn anything about this?
What? Oh, never mind.
Oh, I'll let Cobalt finish. I'm just talking to Rock.
I was just gonna say if we can't read them because they're in a different language, or if we can't read them because they're not legible.
They're just far away. You guys are basically gathered around just on the diameter of the stone circle. There's about 30 feet of open grassy area before the actual forest begins again. And yeah, you guys are just a little bit too far away from the signs to actually read them.
Rockrock's gonna start approaching one.
All right. Looking at this sign, it is in Draconic actually,
Oh, convenient.
and it reads, "A trial of combat."
Oh, yes. He's bouncing now.
All right.
Infel's gonna look at the others and say, "Should I just untie this rope? This is not effective."
As Eric's, you are currently anchored to Infel at this time. Eric's?
I'm gonna untie my rope.
As you untie the ropes and sort of get them back into storage.
All right. Infel's just gonna nod and carefully put Cobalt down, like ready to grab him if he starts sinking again. Stop taking my friends, goddamn you!
So, Cobalt, Eric's, and Infel, what are you guys doing in this clearing?
I guess I'm gonna go over and see what he's smiling about.
You see that he's currently standing in front of one of the signs, tail thumping on the ground, sign which is labeled in Draconic, which I believe you can read, right?
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
It says the trial of combat.
I see. Yeah. Alright, do we get up there and fight then? Are there any rules to this?
How many signs are there?
4 signs.
I'm gonna walk over to the next one to the left.
And the next one to the left, that is going to be the trial of wit.
Well, he's gonna... He's just gonna, go, ugh, and just walk over to the combat one and start going down that one.
All right. As you start to walk down it, the path is a little bit wider than the one you were walking on before, and the canopy above has sort of given way, letting a lot more natural sunlight. Eventually, as you walk through, you notice a change in the area, as if it's almost morphing. The trees giving way, the ground beneath your feet changing from this sort of grassy, trampled soil to a very coarse, it's almost orange dirt. And as the walls around you morph from the trees to a mat of undergrowth into stone walls, you start to hear the wind change from a very soothing sort of breeze to the chant of a crowd.
Oh,
As you
yes.
find yourself in an arena. Faceless crowd. The faces sort of almost stone, cheering you on with strange undulating motions. And as you look across from you, maybe 30 feet away, you see a almost a jet black stone opponent about your height, wearing jagged armor, carrying a shield and an axe.
Stone, you say?
It's not really a stone, and besides, you didn't. Did you follow?
I imagine I would.
As you follow him, you suddenly find yourself in a front row seat watching.
What? I seem confused.
As you smell all the smells of an arena, the smell of roasted meat, of popcorn, stuff like that.
I'm gonna try and stand up in my seat and look at the people next to me like, the fuck?
They don't seem to react to your presence. In fact, they just seem to be doing almost a pre-canned, like, it's almost like the shitty crowd in racing games.
Ah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can I try and, like, move forward? Like,
you find that you're unable to actually, push yourself over the top of the sort of wall leading into the stadium. There's a small railing just in front of you. You have a front row seat, so you can see very clearly. But there's something almost like a mental block preventing you from jumping over, like almost like a natural fear, like a phobia, which you didn't have before, you noted, but you're really unable to jump into the arena. Rock. The opponent in front of you sort of reaches down to his belt, removes the axe, and slams it onto the shield. In the distance, you can hear a bell ringing. What do you do?
Rock's gonna crack his neck, loosen up his shoulders. He needs a distraction. It's been a hell of a week on and he's going to like half bow towards the opponent.
The opponent is going to do the same exact gesture.
Rock's gonna start jumping up and down before he charges.
The opponent is going to do a little hop as well as just before charging as well.
He charges towards it.
All right. I'm guessing you're going to attack as the opponent is charging towards you at about the same speed.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and roll to attack.
All right. Okay, hold on. It's a little laggy.
All right. Oh yeah, you get 2 attacks.
Yep.
All right. Neither of those are going to hit as you deflect 2 blows from him as well. As they slam against your armor and the other against your shield. Go ahead and do your next attack.
He's gonna bite him with new spell, Primal Savagery.
All right. And that is a what's your AC, Rock?
21.
All right.
Question: Does Rock notice me, or is he not looking?
Don't believe you'd be looking, Rock.
No, he's not. He's focusing on the opponent.
Your sort of arcane teeth slam into his armor as you also hear almost a snarl, the sound of breaking enamel just right next to your neck as well as he bites you as well, but neither of you are able to get through the armor.
Alright. So Rock's gonna step back, look at, and then he's gonna put his axe away.
Alright. The other opponent sort of looks at you for a moment, and what's your passive perception?
17.
You notice that the crowd has gotten quieter. It's making the same sound, but there's less of it.
Mm-hmm.
As your opponent also sort of lowers his axe. but he still seems to be in a combat stance.
He's Rockrock's gonna smile, and he's gonna say under his breath, "The only best opponent is your own opponent," and he's gonna bow and turn and walk away.
All right. As you do so, the stone behind you begins to turn back into the undergrowth, and you find yourself walking on grass again as the sound of the crowd sort of dissipates behind you. Infel. In a strange sort of movement, you find yourself now walking by his side, not having not remembering getting up from your seat or even doing anything. But you are now walking by his side as he is walking down the path back to the center.
Hi, Rock. What just happened?
He shrugs. He says, "Forrest thinks they're smart." Rock taps on his chest, but Rock is battle wise.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Hey, are you wearing your special armor?
He smiles.
Cool. And Infeld produces
Like I said,
water
Rock's
skin.
not smart, but he's been through a lot of combat, so he knows certain things.
Mm-hmm. As you return to the center, you see that something is written on the back of the sign that you didn't see when you left.
I'm gonna look at it.
All right. In Draconic, it says, "A smart fighter will know when to make friends."
Rock smiles and nods to the sign.
All right. What are you guys doing now?
Como wants to do the wit one next.
All right. As those guys seem to have walked down that path, you just kind of gravitate towards the trial of wit and make your way down there. As you do so, your surroundings, the canopy starts to almost form around you into stone ceilings, a stone wall, as it becomes very dark, very quiet. Aside from ahead of you, you see a somewhat large cavern, a beam of light coming in from a hole in the ceiling, wherein almost like a waterfall is coming from above the cave ceiling, falling into a pool with slightly raised sides. On the ground is a series of channels spiraling this way and that, eventually leading into another pool on the other side, but a very shallow pool. Sort of an indentation in the stone floor.
So there's just like a bunch of little streams in the ground? Like
Yes.
channels?
Yes.
And they're going in all
them,
different directions.
Yes, all of them dry at the moment. But none of them seem to disappear in any way. They're all... It's a sort of finite sort of channel volume, as far as you can tell. There's none leading off into the walls. There's none that seem to dip down, leading into nowhere. It seems to be decorative, as far as you can tell, this sort of pattern.
And you said there was a waterfall, but it's not connected to the channels at all?
No. The waterfall is dropping from the ceiling into sort of a shallow pool. There's slightly raised sides that seem to be made out of a brick that's been carved out of the floor itself.
I'm guessing, if anything, I'd have to try to connect the pool of water to the channels. How tough is the brick that's holding the water back?
Sort of poking at it with your toe, it's fairly strong. seems to be as strong as a very dense stone.
Are there any loose stones or anything around?
As far as you can tell, no, but there are there is bits and pieces of woodwork sort of strewn off to the side. There are a few rocks kind of hidden in the corner, almost swept in there. Could you give me an investigation check?
Sure.
Couple? You having trouble with the... Oh, there we go. I'll roll for you. As we have lost Cobalt, unfortunately. We can come back to them
AFK also.
though. Fun. Infel.
Okay.
We can go with you for a moment until he comes back. Ah, are you back? Hello?
Yes.
Excellent.
I rolled like a 14 and then a 20, but it didn't register on the thing.
All right, that's fine. Looking into the pool, you see that there is a like a hole, kind of in the middle, that leads to somewhere. And actually, looking at it closer, you can see a cyclone, indicating that it's draining through that hole.
And you said there was woodwork around?
Yes, just little scraps of wood. And actually, looking over there, you also find a little bit of leather. Some dead plant matter, what looks to be just some hay.
Time to make Gyro an awesome contraption.
Yeah, I was about to say. I guess I'm going to conjure some tools and start trying to build some kind of contraption that'll lead the stream of water falling from the ceiling to the channels.
All right.
Is there what would be considered like an obvious starting point for the channel, like an end that seems to go off somewhere?
Not really, as far as you can tell. The channels seem to be equally spaced away from the pool itself, and there's no real sort of a first little pool to drop the water into. Go ahead and... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, is there any like dead ends of the channel, or is it just one long thing?
There are some dead ends. It looks like almost a sun in the middle with the rays sort of stretched outwards.
Okay. Now, what'd you say?
Go ahead and give me a dexterity check. I'd say with proficiency.
Okay, so +4. I'm gonna luck that one. Seriously?
As you try to
Hold on.
assemble this almost... I'm sorry?
I'm gonna do it one more time because I got all my lucky points back. And I want this to work. That's better.
As you assemble this, basically a contraption of almost a very complicated, rickety aqueduct that takes water a little bit at a time from the falling waterfall and brings it down into the channels. As you do so, you notice a little trickle of water making its way down from the aqueduct into the actual channels. But at a certain point, the water is not enough, and it starts to evaporate at about the same rate as it's going in. You get a little bit of water into the main pool, but not enough to submerge it.
So I'm not redirecting the entire waterfall, just part of it?
You weren't quite able to redirect the entire waterfall, as it's a very sort of diffuse spray, almost like a shower nozzle.
Hmm. I'm gonna.
There is a large amount of water coming in, but it's hard to, gather all of it in one place, as it's almost always shifting around and sort of a twirling in the orifice that it's coming into from. Yeah.
I'm going to. You said there's a bunch of leather too, right?
Yes.
Is it possible for me to create a sort of not really net with the leather, but like spread the leather out underneath the waterfall and then poke a big hole in the bottom to kind of funnel the water into the contraption?
There would not be enough leather for that. No. It's roughly, I'd say, combined maybe a 2 foot by 2 foot square.
Oh, is it how big the leather is?
Mhm.
And about how big is most of the water from the waterfall?
It's spread out. It's spread over a roughly 5 to 6 foot diameter area.
Let me check something. Conjuration. No longer. Okay. I'm gonna try to conjure a 3 foot by 3 foot bowl with a hole at the bottom to
All right.
do basically the same thing.
You do so. As you very treacherously try to balance it on top of the contraption as it's creaking and moaning from all the stress. Sorry, creaking and groaning.
Oh.
You notice that there's a good amount more water coming through, and in fact, you manage to fill the bowl about maybe halfway before that same evaporation starts to hit again, and the water starts to just evaporate at the same rate that it's going in.
I meant with the hole at the bottom to do basically the same thing I was gonna do with the leather.
Yeah. A
Oh,
lot more water is going into the aqueduct system, but it's still not quite enough.
Unfortunately, I'm not very smart in real life. Cobalt is apparently very smart.
Could you give me an intelligence check?
Yep. There you go.
Your mind goes back to the drain hole.
All right, could I conjure a chisel and like basically I want to see if I can carve a path from the hole to the channel.
The stone seems to resist your efforts to manipulate it.
I figured that would be the case.
You make a small dent in it, but it would take quite a long time, and you're not sure whether you have a time limit or not.
Is it elevated in any sort of way, or is it the same, just the flat floor
So
with the channel and the drain hole?
So the channel is carved down into layer A, let's say,
Okay.
to height A. The bottom of the pool which the water is in is also height A. The brick sort of edging is above that and preventing the water from flowing outwards. The water is also being continually drained into that drain hole at about the same rate that it's coming in, leaving the water at about a stable height.
Okay, so it's level. Like it's level. It's just like an outdoor pool kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna bundle up the leather and I'm gonna try to stuff it in the hole.
All right. As you do so, managing to get a good, nice little wad going, you stuff it in the hole, and the water starts to rise. And eventually, it starts to spill over, and you notice that the water's nice and cool in your feet. As they kind of got hurt a little, you dropped your hammer out at once, and it feels nice and soothing as you're standing in it.
Mm.
As it begins to flow over the wall and fill the channels. Eventually, the entire cavern is coated with this about inch-thick layer of water, including that main pool, as the waterfall slowly starts to slow down, becoming only a drizzle, like rain. As the water and the channels start to glow with this ethereal blue light. As the door leading outwards swings back open.
Cool. And I'll go out.
As you return back outside the stone tunnels giving way to the undergrowth, you notice on the back of the sign there was something that you didn't notice before. As it says, the best solution is often the simplest one.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Infel and Eric's. What are you guys doing?
So there are more
Well-
signs here?
Yes, there are 2 more that people have not interacted with.
I guess I'm gonna go check one of them out. Seems like everyone's doing a task.
The one that you sort of read is Indraconic and says, Trial of Faith.
Well, ask me by name, why don't you?
Don't worry about it, Cobalt.
I'm gonna look back over to Eric and say, what's yours say?
I will read mine.
Trial of Mercy.
Oh, joy.
He's gonna narrow his eyes and say, do you want to trade? Do you want to You know, you were kind of the judge.
No, I think I should take this one.
Alright.
Alright, as you guys make your way down your respective paths, we'll start with Infel.
Okay.
As you continue inwards, the foliage walls giving way to wood and cobblestone of a city. The ground underneath giving way to dirt, mud from a city street. And the clean air giving way to city stink, muddled with the smell of smoke, of fire, of rot. As you're greeted with the scene of a city in chaos.
What? Oh, no. Time to get into action.
From what you can see, there's a plague.
Oh,
There's people getting carted off. There's people. You can see through doors into hospitals of bed after bed after bed.
Well, this seems pretty clear, but I'm gonna see if of some official standing to ask. What's up?
The passerby who you asked says, she kind of looks at you, looks at your holy symbol, and almost shuns away.
Oh, I get it. He'll sheath his sword and stow it away.
Off in the distance, you see what looks to be a monk of some sort, with a silver and black sort of vestment with the picture of a moon painted on it. And as you watch, he is summarily beheaded by a member of a guard.
I'm gonna grab
Priest,
another.
the priest's hand still clasped in prayer, collapses to the ground, headless.
I'm gonna grasp another passerby and say, what's happening?
They look at you, they look at your hand, and they see your vestments, and they tear themselves away from you, grasping the child that they had in tow and hurrying away with them.
Great.
And you notice that on all these victims, there's the telltale sign of the plague are these almost silvery boils that have erupted all across their body. As all of them are shivering, they're all very, very cold, as it seems that they're almost freezing when they die.
Interesting. It'll shake his head and start going over to some bed, rolling back his sleeves, say, "Alright, let's begin. Closer look at what's happening here." But he can understand, like, why common masses might relate this to Saloon.
Alright. You do so, putting to work your healing magics as well as any sort of
Medical
mundane materials that you have nearby. And as you started to work, you noticed that a few of the doctors sort of hushed together and talked in hushed tones before one of them ran out the front door.
They're getting the guards. Oh well.
As you continue to work, your healing aided by the divine energies, you manage to actually sort of ease the symptoms of 5 or 6 before the front door is sort of noisily pushed inwards, almost kicked. As you hear the bellowing call of one of the guards members saying, "We know you worship the Devil Queen. You will come out now, or we will kill you where you stand."
I'm busy right now. Let me help these people.
Seeing that you're currently messing with the patients or doing whatever magics you are, the guardsman, followed by 2 of his subordinates, hurriedly rush in, swords drawn.
I'm going to ignore them for the most part. Only keeping an eye on them out of the corner of my eyes. I keep working.
Alright. As you're continuing to work, could you give me a medicine check, please?
Yes.
Alright. In the time before they arrive to you, you manage to ease this one's symptoms as well, probably putting him to recovery as you're grabbed from behind rather roughly and pulled away from the patient.
Fools.
As you're sort of held up from behind, the guard who seems to be the leader is currently pointing his sword at your chest, saying, "Your worship has doomed this city. Repent now."
Tell me how. I've just gotten here.
burn everything of your faith and leave forever.
Burn everything of my faith. Tell me more.
As he says, I don't have to, blasphemer. As the guard behind you starts to pull you away further from the patients, saying, that devil magic has hurt enough people already.
You truly are ignorant, aren't you? But you're not in the mood to be educated.
As you are smacked on the back of your head with what feels like the pommel of a sword.
Pinfall will shake his head and lay down his vestments.
Alright.
Anything else?
Everything seems to fade around you as you find yourself in the passageway leading from the center to the sort of trial. Your holy symbol sitting on the ground, almost dim.
Pinfall will shake his head and say, stupid trees. Faith isn't about material possessions. So I'll pick them up and leave.
Alright. Eric's.
Yes?
Go with your turn for the Trial of Mercy. As you proceed down your path, you eventually are led to a small clearing. The woods around you have turned from sort of light and green with life to dark, foreboding. You see in the middle there's what looks to be an elk, slowly wheezing as there's about 3 or so arrows in its abdomen and 1 in its neck. As you approach closer, you can hear the distant sounds of the howling of wolves and coyotes.
I'm gonna examine the elk.
Alright. As you get closer, it looks up to you. Nothing but one eye moving as its chest slowly heaves up and down irregularly as it sort of coughs up blood every so often. Go ahead and give me a medicine check.
Oh, that was almost a 16.
You don't know how to save this animal. You might be able to, but you don't know how.
I'll cast heal.
All right. As you do so, you realize that your magics aren't quite working the way they should. It's almost flashing back to what you were before. That feeling of you can numb its pain, but that's really it. As the wolves begin to get closer, you hear the howls and the yips of the coyotes become louder.
Well, in that case, unfortunately, there is only one thing to do. I will put it out of its misery.
All right. Removing a dagger from your belt, you sort of look it in the eye one last time. Place a hand on its chest, and stab the knife directly into its neck, severing the artery. It protests for a moment, sort of grunting in pain before it slowly fades over the course of about 5 seconds. The howling of the wolves around you grows in intensity for a moment before dissipating. As in front of you, you see the elk, almost in fast motion, disintegrate into a skeleton before slowly sinking into the soil. As the sun starts to rise in your small, almost room, the forest again is alive with the sounds of birds, insects. As a very quiet breeze blows in from some direction. You find yourself walking back to the center. On the back of the sign, it says in Draconic, "Death is as natural as life, and to prolong one's death is to cause them pain." All right. What are you all doing? As you return to the middle, you notice that a passage has opened up. Actually, no, not a passage. 2 pedestals have almost materialized while you were away inside the stone circle. Both of them seemingly having a small, almost a cylindrical pillar, about 2 inches in diameter and about a foot tall. They're spaced about math. About 15 feet apart.
I go up to one.
All right.
Me too.
I'll go up to the other.
All right. So we've got Rock and Eric's on one, Cobalt on the other, and the other is the one closest to the 5th statue. So, Infel.
Yes.
Are you going to be on the one closest to the statue or the one furthest away? Oh, by the
Wait,
way,
how many pillars are there?
as you were returning to the sign, Infel, you did actually see that something was written on the back.
Oh.
As you see, while dying for one's faith is certainly noble, you can't help having anyone if you're dead.
Oh, and I didn't leave my vestments, obviously. He'll raise an eye ridge and get up onto the pedestal closer to the statue then.
Close to the statue, alright.
Wait, we can stand on these?
No, they basically look like the tops of levers.
I was going to say, they're probably tiny.
Alright, anybody gonna grab it?
Yeah.
I will.
Rock, you take 8 points of lightning damage. Infel, nothing happens as you smell a little bit of burnt flesh from over Rock's way.
Eh? Rock? What?
Just glare at it.
What did they do?
Apparently
They
Rock just got
dropped-
zapped.
Yeah. That was the one that was further away from the 5th statue. The one that is closer didn't seem to do anything.
Wait, is the 5th statue the one that was tied to the magic knot underground?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to all of them except for that one.
There's only those 2 pedestals.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there's only 2 pestles.
There are only 2 pedestals. Basically handholds.
Mm.
So, like, pick one of 2.
Also, how far apart are they?
About 15 feet.
Oh.
I'll go over to the one Infel's at then. The other one.
Why don't we
Hesitantly
all-
placing your hand on it, it does not shock you.
We should all join hands and connect the 2 pedestals.
Okay. Let's start with the one that's not zapping us.
Everybody on board with this?
I
Sure.
mean, it's a Cobalt idea, and he's the magic one, so I don't doubt his logic.
Alright. As you guys begin to join hands from the non-electrified one, who's going to be the last in the chain?
I will.
Alright. As you see everyone's all connected up, go ahead and give, or as you reach out and grasp the pedestal. You all are subjected to an electricity coursing through your bodies as the chain is completed. But, Eric's, could you give me a Constitution saving throw?
I should have been last.
It probably should have been me, maybe.
As for about 5 or 6 seconds, you are unable to let go, Eric's. The current forcing your muscles closed, but you eventually squeeze them open as you all are going to take 27 points of lightning damage.
And it's not magical.
It is not magical.
Ouch. Well, that sucked.
We all take that damage.
Yes.
27, you say?
You mean I gotta add to my character sheet myself? What is this?
Mm-hmm.
Ha. Ah. Yes, that was terrible.
As you guys sort of lay on the ground for a moment, getting your breath and standing back up, you see that the clouds have gathered. Sort of dark storm clouds. As lightning strikes somewhere off in the distance, a small pillar of rain starts to fill that center pool. And after it stops, the clouds start to slowly recede and reveal a brightly moonlit night. As you all sort of are granted the knowledge in your head. It's not a real voice, but simply it is. As it says, trials are complete, and the reward lies in the pool.
Eric's will cautiously approach the pool.
Cobalt's gonna
Rockrock
go
would
swim.
follow.
As you all sort of crouch down, looking over the edge into the water, looking sort of past the surface, you don't seem to see anything inside. There's no glitter of gold. There's no, really nothing of the sort.
And it's a bright moonlit night.
The moon almost directly above the pool.
I'm gonna look up and say a loon or an illusion? Wonder.
As you,
float
sorry.
on the back in the water.
Before you do that,
Oh.
as you continue to look down into it, your eyes sort of lose focus on what's below and start to focus on the actual surface and the reflection. As you see the four of you, and you see, it's been a long time since you've seen your own reflection. Mirrors are fairly rare, and seeing yourself weathered, experienced, and fully grown is... You guys basically stand there in silence, just staring. You sort of slowly start to look at each other. As a thought...
As I look over to Rocker, I flex.
Just grinning.
As Cobalt, yawning slightly, basically flops over into the pool and starts to float in the still, reflective water. A dawning realization sort of comes over you as sort of a thought flashes through your mind of, this is an awfully sappy ending.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
How cliche. This is how lame.
I'm gonna look in the pool and say, give me back those children.
Almost as if to answer in a sort of dejected, like, oh, I suppose that's a lesson in itself. There's a small crashing from the foliage nearby, as a short sword actually sort of pokes through for a moment and sort of pulls at the vines, and eventually a handful of kobolds kind of stumble out.
It's raining.
What? Oh, it's...
He'll look over
Hallelujah.
at the pool and say, this is acceptable.
astronomical equivalent of a sigh, so it almost passes over you all.
No, I'm not gonna let you keep them. Fuck off.
Zell sort of wiping off, still wiping off dirt from his light armor, sort of rushes towards you all, looking around, and almost like hugs Infel.
There, I got you back.
Oh
It's
God,
fine now.
that was like, oh jeez. I was kind of scared that you guys, because it was kind of dark and I got sucked through the ground, and oh, that was. Hey, but we did find something. Oh, I mean, you guys, looks like you guys found something cool.
Did we?
We
We just got
really
trialed. We just got tested. Nothing for it.
We literally got back what we lost, what was taken from us with this island.
Mm.
It's like your wallet goes missing, and then for Christmas, a friend says, "Here, this is your wallet that you lost."
Christmas?
You're like, "Thanks." It's a long story.
Okay.
It's like Giving Day.
Well, I think we're all here. Well, and we're not here. Some of us are still in the trail, but we found something cool.
What's that?
And we also found this like music box.
Music box.
Yeah. And we found this like small statue. Is it like a small, like a kind of like a collapsed tower right over here? Like super well hidden, and we kind of just showed up here. Some of us got lost, and some of us got kind of pulled away, and we all kind of fell through the foliage into this like small area. It was super wild.
Then let's go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, first let's gather everyone.
Oh,
Let's
gee,
go
is those
walking down the path.
is What's that smells? you
Mushrooms,
guys-
I think.
No. The thing that smells like burnt meat. Is that you guys?
Rock sniffs his pits. Not me.
Zell Breezels has redeemed a moderate ethereal influence for Zell to patch up the group.
Which is exactly what he was asking about right then.
Yes.
As you guys are sort of gathering your thoughts and uniting with the kobolds, he is going to start moving around with a bunch of bandages and salves and ointments and start to tend to your burns.
Yes, thank you. Something just, it was like a lightning bolt, but we didn't see it.
Yeah, we didn't hear. Well, we heard that one, like went right before the storm clouds came. It
Yeah.
didn't rain over here. That was weird.
Everything here is weird.
But yeah, come check this out. It looks pretty cool.
Okay. Are all the kobolds here, or do I go down the path and gather them all?
Yeah, all the kobolds have kind of congregated to this area.
Good.
Kobold's gonna grab Zell's hand and start like, not really pulling him, but like, come on, let's go. I want to see this.
Wait, you don't know where it is. I have to lead. Come on. As he tries to keep pace with you.
You know what? I'm just gonna pick him up and sit him on my shoulder and say, "Just point."
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm half jogging, Infel takes about 3 steps and outpaces me.
I'm very large.
Alright. The trail leads about a few hundred feet into the undergrowth, and eventually it, true to his word, leads to a small collapsed tower. Where the doorway would be is an empty space, and it seems to only reach up maybe 5 feet of collapsed brickwork. But there is what looks to be a trap door that's been recently unearthed. That's been recently, sort of uncovered. Made of a reinforced, a very light weathered wood. And opening the trapdoor, Zell kind of points downwards into the darkness. There is a somewhat rickety ladder that seems to be able to support some of the lighter of you. Some of the heavier might have issues. What do you guys do?
Eric's will head down.
All right.
How
The ladder
many
is able to support your way.
Wait,
what are
the
you gonna
ladder
say?
or the bridge?
Ladder.
How far down is it? Or
You're really unable to tell from up top, but Eric's, you go down maybe 30 feet and arrive at the bottom. There's a ever-present smell of mold and sort of a cave dankness. But it is an actual underground room as opposed to just a cave.
let's jump. And I'm gonna take whoever's on the left and right of me. I'm gonna take their hands and then try to jump off.
That would probably be Rock, and Infel.
Yep.
I say everyone needs to jump together.
Rock's already in the air.
Same with Cobalt.
All right. I'm gonna look back at the kobold and say, "You ready?"
Wait, how many kobolds are with us?
All of
Seven.
them.
It's mainly just okay. Let me rephrase that. I'm speaking to Infel and Rock, whose hands I'm holding. The kobolds are small enough that they're light enough that they can go down a ladder. But I'm worried about our big armored guys trying to use it and removing our way back up.
Yeah, Rock's very dense.
Yes, and Infel's very large, so I suppose just the 3 of us then to make it safe. Forget I said it. Yeah, Featherfall.
Well then, I'm gonna set Zell down and say, I'll check for. I'm gonna take Zell off my shoulders.
I mean, he can come too. I just can't do everyone. I can do a total of 5 falling creatures.
Oh well then, I pick Zell back up.
Yeah.
Alright, you guys make it to the bottom, no problem.
Yeah, I just didn't want everyone to do it at once because I couldn't Featherfall everyone.
Infel, you are. Do you have dark vision?
I don't know. I have to check.
I do not believe you would. So you are in the dark right now.
Yes, lizard folk do not have dark vision. Whew. Well, his sword glows, doesn't it?
It does. It depends on what he wants to do. Infel?
Yes, there was just things around me.
Fair enough.
Like pick up everything. Now let's see. I'm in the dark, and is that anyone else alarmed at the moment?
No. Nobody seems to care. Nobody has any lights. Nobody's brought out a torch or anything.
Are you guys okay?
I'm gonna give Infel Flameless Torch.
Okay.
As he gives you a small rod made out of a, well, feels to be a very thin, light metal.
Hello, Commander. In response to your
It's about the
request,
size of
we
a
have sent
sword
backup.
pommel.
Good luck, Commander. We are forever in your debt.
Hey, Demouser, thank you so much for that resubscription. Good to see you back for 2 months in a row.
Give me an intelligence check. Actually, make that investigation.
Okay.
And yes, all of you guys have been healed. Kind of messing around with it, you notice that there is a small, like, almost like a very, very small lever / button thing. And pressing that, it sort of springs into life with a very steady bluish-white glow.
Ah, there we go.
As all of you kind of squint a little bit from the bright light.
Can you all see in the dark?
What's dark?
Take that as a yes. Ah, that explains it.
Alright. Looking ahead of you, there is a small passageway. Sorry, I gotta yawn. Goodness. There's a small passageway leading to what looks to be a wall and a bronze copper door. The wall itself, strangely enough, is pockmarked with these small, almost slit-like holes. And there doesn't seem to be an actual keyhole on the door, much less any sort of actuating mechanism.
Rock's looking at the ceiling.
Looking at the ceiling, looks fairly well made. Not gonna collapse.
Or skeletons fall down.
That too. So, what are you guys doing?
You said it's a wall or a...
It's a wall. A wall, and on the right side of it, there's a copper bronze-ish door. There's no doorknob, no lock, but there are a rather large number of slits in the wall. About a few inches, actually no, about maybe 2 inches tall and maybe half an inch wide. There's about 20 of them in 2 rows of 10.
Is there rocks on the floor?
There are a few rocks just kind of sitting on the floor.
Rock's gonna take one and throw it down the hall.
You pick up one of the rocks and throw it, and it kind of scatters against the ground and with a sort of a tack smacks against the bronze door.
I'll look at it and say, so where were you? Is this the place?
Oh, yeah, well, I kind of popped up outside, but I went in here and I found this, and I thought this is super cool, and I thought you might be down here, but yeah.
So you didn't poke around too much then?
Not really. We saw this and we couldn't open it, so we figured you weren't in there. Well, I figured that. I didn't know.
Good, boy. Stay safe.
I'll go forward.
Alright. Nothing seems to happen. Aside from a small magical light actually sort of springing into existence just like above this wall, giving you a dim light.
Oh, so it's nice and bright in here now.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna blow door.
Sorry?
Said I'm gonna walk up to the door
Alright, nothing happens.
and I'm going to grab the handle.
There is no handle.
I'm going to ram my face into the door.
Strength check. Like the sound of a small gong, the door resonates but stands very, very firm. As the that would do damage to you. As you take 5 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh yeah, he doesn't hold back.
A small headache erupting in your head.
Well, look, I have to have damage on me.
Mhm.
It's the Rock way.
Can everybody give me an investigation check? Rock, since you were the first one who rolled high enough. And basically everyone would see this, but Rock would see it first. But there is a small, somewhat tarnished dagger, sort of sitting right next to the wall, in the dim light, and it was kind of hard for you to see because it was pretty much the same color as the stone beneath it.
I pick it up.
All right. It's rather bad quality. It doesn't seem to be a very sharp. Blades maybe 2 inches wide, maybe half an inch thick. Not very useful as far as you can tell.
And so he's gonna have the dagger in his hand, and like a robot turns straight towards the door. He just poked the door.
All right, you poke the door with the dagger. Yeah, and you hear that same almost gong-like sound as the door vibrates again, but again, it just doesn't really do anything.
He shrugs. He's tried everything.
In Rock's mind, at least.
Yep, there's nothing else they can do. Well, other than he's gonna pull out his axe and he's gonna hit the door.
Same exact thing. In fact, there seems to be some sort of enchantment in your mind that makes this door a lot stronger than it ought to be.
He's just gonna glare at it. That usually works. It's rock proof. There's no getting into it.
Sort of stare at the door as well as the slits in the wall next to it, angrily. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, Rock, can you see if it's magical?
Use your special eyes.
My
I mean,
special eyes.
I can do it. It just takes 10 minutes. You can do it instantly.
Yeah, dude.
Your
detect magic.
brand.
Doing so, you realize that the light is magical, the door is magical, and the slots are magical.
What about the dagger I'm holding?
Very, very faintly magical. It seems that at some point in the past it was enchanted, but it is not any longer.
He's gonna pocket that dagger.
All right.
He'll tell the group, it's go magic, and then that's it. He would do jazz hands, but he's not that smart.
Eric's? Cobalt? Any ideas?
I have no idea.
Wait, so the door wasn't magical, but a bunch of other stuff was?
The door is magical. Well, Rock basically said everything is magical.
Oh, well, I'm gonna cast Detect Magic.
You see that the door has been enchanted to open only when a certain set of conditions has been reached, and in addition to being very, very strong and unmovable. The slots in the wall have been enchanted with some sort of detection magic. And the light, of course, is a light. But you notice that the slots and the door are connected.
I was about to say, how many slots are there?
20. 10 on each row.
I'm gonna start picking up random things and putting them in all the slots.
What sort of things do you have?
Oh, no, I meant things around here.
Alright.
Is there nothing around here?
There's a few rocks on the ground. Well, there was that dagger that was on the ground, but Rock has that. Little splinters of wood that seem to be too rotted. They basically just crumble away in your hands.
Alright, mostly rocks then.
Trying to push the rocks inside, you're not finding much success. But as you sort of almost like throw one of the rocks inside, there's a small sort of a very faint vibration coming from the wall. Very faint, but very, very consistent vibration.
Interesting.
I'm gonna conjure a lute and strum a thing.
You basically just strum blindly on the lute. Well, you did use a little bit of your instruction from Sully. As you sort of pick a note that kind of resembles that, nothing seems to happen.
Rock's gonna take the dagger out and put the dagger.
Alright. As you do so, you hear a somewhat higher vibration, but much louder, much more resonant, and very, very audible and clear as you insert the dagger into one of the slots.
Cole's gonna strum
This
that
is
one.
different.
As you do so, nothing seems to happen. What's everybody's passive perception?
12.
17.
9,
9, 17.
12.
Rock. What's Eric's?
19.
So, Eric's, you would for sure hear this as you're kind of looking at what's going on with the door. You would hear the faint sound of a music box playing. As you kind of look around for it, you eventually see that some of the, like two of the kobolds have crouched around Zell as he's fiddling with a small rusted music box that he's managed to get working. As it's playing a somewhat out of tune tone, somewhat out of tune that's somewhat slow, very simplistic, and
Repeating?
yeah, kind of almost sad, melancholy tune.
Cobalt, S, rock for the dagger.
You would not have heard the music box.
Oh,
Would Rock have?
Rock you would have eventually, but Eric's would have heard it first and has the
Okay.
first opportunity to act on it.
Oh, that's fine.
I know exactly.
So it's on the other side of the door?
No, it is currently somewhere near the ladder. 3 of the kobolds are currently messing around with it. One of them is Zell.
Okay, repeat that again.
So, 3 of the kobolds, one of them is Zell, is
Mhm.
currently messing around with the music box that they talked about earlier. They have, which they found somewhere near here. They're currently near the ladder leading upwards.
I'm gonna go over and take a look at the music box closer.
At about this point, Rock, you would have heard it.
Okay.
As you look at it, you see it's kind of rusty, fairly old looking, and Zell kind of looking up at you. He kind of holds it up and says, "We found it just outside. It was under a piece of rock, kind of like in the wall."
I gotta roll a dice to figure out what Rock would do. He's not smart, but he's wise, but it kind of goes with both.
Could you give me a minute? I gotta use the bathroom. Like really
Yeah,
bad.
go right ahead.
We'll go ahead and take a small intermission here, guys. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll be right back. It won't be too long, but I do need to step away as well. So, enjoy the music and remember to follow and subscribe. See you shortly. All right, hello everybody. We are back. Sorry about that break there. Hello. Creeper Lord, unfortunately, we can't really just give you a recap of everything that happened because we don't know when you were gone. But you can watch the recording again next week. It is uploaded a week after. if you are a subscriber to the channel, then you can watch it. Well, actually, you can probably start watching it now. Anyways.
All right. We shall continue. As you all are trying to figure out how to get this dang door open, I believe Eric's is currently talking to Zell regarding the music box, and Rock is about to do something, perhaps
Yeah.
crash.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what that something is.
Rock, as he's listening to the tune, he's gonna go along the holes and poke the with the musical box.
It takes quite a while, I'd say. Go
Yeah.
ahead and give me. Are you skilled in any instruments?
I think as a soldier, I was able to pick at least one musical instrument.
You were able to, yes.
Yes.
Go ahead and give me an intelligence check with proficiency.
So that would be +4.
What'd you roll?
A nat 20.
You're kidding.
Nope. I can't make this up.
With pure luck, you are able to basically just look at the door and guessing you manage to get a few of them right on the first try, and as you continue going through the sequence, the tones sort of vibrating the door itself. After about 10 minutes of trial and error with the notes, you eventually do manage to get it right.
Huh.
It's
Leave it to Rock.
I mean,
and the thing I rolled, I rolled a d20. High, I would do that. Low, he wouldn't figure it out. And I rolled like a 13.
As you guys are basically just watching him struggle through this, you try to figure your own way to get it open, as there is a deep click as the door swings open very, very slowly with an audible sort of slow creaking noise.
Rock gives you a tail thumbs up.
Mhm.
Good man.
And inside is a small storage room or a vault. Kind of similar to the one you uncovered under Baldur's Gate. All that long time ago. Except this one is a little bit smaller, and the insides are much less impressive. This seems to be the storage place for some very, very expensive linens, as well as some carpets and drapes. Very, very fine, expensive stuff. There's also a small lockbox, almost perched up on one of these shelves. A lot of whatever was stored in here seems to have been taken out before or has rotted away with time. There's probably 2 fancy rugs that you could salvage, as well as the strongbox.
I'm just gonna walk over and pick it up.
All right, it's fairly light actually. As you now have the strongbox, nothing seems to happen. No, closing trap doors or a giant stone sphere rolling after you. All right, what do you guys do?
There's some nice carpets, but do we actually want?
I mean,
I don't think mending undoes damage via time.
can I do a perception check on this room?
What are you looking at it for?
To see if there's anything like hidden or anything else going on other than just like an obvious box and like some drapes?
Sure. As far as you can tell, that does seem to be it. However,
What-
kind of digging through the carpets, you do find a somewhat tarnished silver sword. Doesn't seem to be an actual weapon, more decorative or ceremonial.
Well, Rock found what he wants, so he's gonna take that one.
All right, what about the rest of you? Eric's? Cobalt?
I guess
Sorry.
I mean, Raku's not here, so I guess I'll try to unlock the lockbox.
All right, do you have any
Or-
thieves' tools?
I can conjure them.
All right. Did Raku do any mentoring with you in regards to lockpicking?
I am already proficient in
Would you look at
it.
that? Go ahead and roll a thieves' tools check.
Would that be under skills? Or
Should basically Dex plus your proficiency.
okay, I'll just do it manually then. I'm gonna lucky it. Okay, I don't want.
How many
this-
lucky points do you have left?
That's the last one.
All right,
But I don't want to roll a 1 on this.
that's good enough. As you start to pick it open, you realize it's not actually very well locked. You thought it was basically impenetrable when you started, but now that you're putting some time into it, you realize it's pretty easy actually. As you
Right.
manage to eventually pop it open.
I'm having difficulty, and then like my finger slips and then unlocks.
Kinda. As the top slowly sort of pops open from spring pressure, you see a sort of a turquoise glow on the inside.
I'm gonna look in it.
There is a small bundle of indigo cards.
Hey, how many?
There are 9.
That's a lot.
A lot of cards. Sorry, shuffling my deck of cards. And I have added a few on request for Inir to simulate some of the rarer cards.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right, 9 cards. I have them in my hand if you want to write them down.
Sure.
We have got the 9 of diamonds.
Oh wait, I'm not ready. It will take forever to write this into my inventory, so I'm just gonna write a note real quick. Alright, 9 of diamonds.
We've got the Ace of Hearts,
Okay.
the 4 of Hearts,
Okay.
the 2 of Clubs,
Okay.
the Jack of Clubs,
Okay.
King of Hearts,
Okay.
5 of Spades.
Okay.
Hold on, let me count how many of.
That was 7.
Wonderful, because I have 2 left.
Okay.
The 2 of Spades,
Okay.
and the last one is a shimmering. It doesn't actually have a face on it. It seems to be holographic, showing a very intricate sort of arcane circle design. It does not have any depiction of what it sort of is.
It's the Joker.
Oh my god, it's a mythic rare.
Black Lotus.
Literally dies.
Rock tackles Cobalt from the Black Lotus.
I tear off the Black Lotus and spite,
No.
crying all the while. So 9 of diamonds, ace of heart, 4 of heart, 2 of clubs, jack of clubs, king of heart, 5 of spades, 2 of spades, and the mythic rare.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
All right. What are you guys all doing now?
Well,
What-
do we want to keep those 2 carpets from us?
What condition are the carpets in?
One of them is in almost pristine condition, having been wrapped up in quite a few other ones. And the other one has a little bit of wear and sort of decay on one of the corners, but is otherwise mostly intact.
Do they look nice?
I mean, what's your sense of fashion? Do opulent red and gold rugs look tacky to you?
In this day and age, probably not.
Yeah, they're fairly good looking then. Somewhat sort of a classic design, but still looks very sensible.
Yeah, we'll take them. Why not?
Alright, I'll move them out of the room and then start shuffling the rest of the room, like, behind the piles of cloth.
All right, you proceed to do so, bundling up the rugs and sort of setting them right by the ladder on the way out. So, how are you guys going to get back up?
Not climb the
Just
ladder?
kind of walk up the wall vertically.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and mark down that spell.
Oh, I already am.
All right, excellent.
I'm gonna I guess we'll dimension door with info.
Is there no ladder?
There is a ladder.
It's very small and not for you.
I guess.
It's sort of rickety.
Bye, Eric.
As Cobalt grabs onto you, as you are now right next to Eric's on the top.
Rock.
Rock is now. Oh, so yeah. Never mind.
You wait by
I was-
Eric since he
I was,
joined
confu- I
Eric.
was very confused for a brief moment. Eric's, how are you gonna get up top?
I would assume the ladder.
All right, ladder holds. As the rest of the kobolds, having seen you kind of start to leave, follow you out.
Alright.
As you now find yourself on a small sort of one of those cliff overlooks. Not in the same clearing you were in when you entered this tower. You can hear the sound of waves breaking against the shore and the sound of seagulls sort of soaring and squawking up in the air.
I have carpets over my shoulders. So, yes. I suppose it's just sort of telling us to leave now.
Right. As you guys start to regroup, heading down the small hillside towards the sand where your longboat currently is. The island doesn't seem to give any indication that it wants you to stay. No disappearances of kobolds, and as you get into the longboat, head count is good. Everyone is here.
Info clap his hands together. So, how was your first little adventure today? I would have preferred it if we could have all stayed together, but maybe the next time.
I think the magic was kind of scary, you know.
Right.
The
That
whole
doesn't
disappearing.
always happen. So an exception, and
Well, I guess that's good to know. So it doesn't happen every time.
no, it's never happened.
Okay, cool. I mean, some of them are kind of conversing amongst themselves, and they seem to come to the consensus that they kind of enjoyed the thrill of it.
Rock would be, if he overhears that, he would be mouthing, "It happens every time," and just nodding.
One of the kobolds seems to notice you and doesn't really say anything when everyone's saying that they really enjoyed it.
He's just grinning while he does because he's enjoying it.
Stop scrolling like them.
It's not a lie.
It didn't happen exactly this way.
Last time we fought a squid.
They didn't vanish.
I mean, I vanished for a little bit. Well, you know you knew where I was.
Yes, and then I got you back when I ate its heart.
I went inside it, so technically I vanished. So yeah, happens every time.
How many times are I gonna have to get you?
Rock can't count that high.
Oh my god. So, I guess now Intel's sort of turning into a little chaperone. And this is a school trip.
Wow, that's weird.
How did this happen? Okay, everyone, back to the boat. Let's go see everyone else and tell them all about this.
Oh, and I wrote a note of her current cards.
Excellent, because
Okay.
I already shoveled them back into the deck.
Cool. You can look at them whenever you want.
Well, all right now, as you guys make your way back to the ship, a sort of fog starts to envelop and sort of rise up out of the water around the island. It eventually comes to envelop the entire island, and you feel a very brisk, cool, almost an evergreen breeze roll through the sea around you and sort of flutter the sails for a moment as the mist is blown away with the island gone.
Rock's looking at his sword.
So, Cobalt.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that island really gone? Is it on the map?
I look at the map.
Island is gone.
Oh wait, did I see the torch get lit and then it disappear?
You didn't say that you did it, so
I go crack.
Reload
Go
your
ahead and-
autosave.
high or
Reload
low.
the previous save. Right.
Above or below 50?
51. So above.
91.
Yes.
As the fog is gathering, you quickly remember that you were going to look at it, and you see that, yes, the torch is indeed lit for a moment before fading from the map.
I was actually right in what the unlit torch represented.
We haven't been here yet. Now we have.
We explored it and now we're gone. And now it's gone.
Huh.
Like a
Well.
DLC.
Well, next time I'd like to get the Cobalt actual experience.
Sorry, you cut off like 3 times.
Well, I hope the next time the Kobolds get to actually have some experience.
I'm sure they had adventuring experience.
I don't know. Getting abducted vines, that's a pretty good experience.
That was quite the experience. Getting
I'd like
abducted, by,
something that would give them confidence.
getting abducted by an island. Hey, Dova.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a 6th level spell slot into this magic glowing card.
All right. It sucks
The
up the magic. Probably even better than the last one did, if you remember correctly.
The holographic rare?
Yeah, the mythic rare, yeah. And then I'm gonna go visit the cat in the wall.
All right.
Oh.
So it is currently 10 o'clock where I live. So what I figure is we finish this up, or we do the actually, my plan is we could either do the magical shopping now, or I could prepare a real special list of various things that you could buy for next week. Depending on what you want,
Okay.
Cobalt.
Well, I want both of those things at the same time.
Hmm.
But I can't, so we can not do that now.
All right. Then I think that will be it for this session. And for the first time in a long time, we actually went for 4 solid hours. Solid-ish
Nice.
hours.
We still have 12 minutes before 4 hours.
We round up in this system, remember?
Dova, we still have 12 minutes. That's a good song.
Hmm.
Oh, you guys can hear that? Sorry.
Yep.
Not saying no to it.
Well, usually you guys do. Ah.
Not that one.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Rooms and Reptiles D&D will be back next week at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. That is 7 p.m. Eastern. What? Oh, we're not taking back the credits. You can see my schedule scrolling on the screen in just a moment. I am going to do some Darkest Dungeon in about, roughly a half hour. So do stick around for that. Thank you to my patrons, Zelos, Kepler, Skyfox, Turlix, Prism, Azai, Roy, Shad, Rivis, and Rizeroth, as well as my donators and subscribers, where I just realized that Turlix's name is cut off on this donators list for some reason. I'll have to look into that. Anyways, thank you for joining, everybody. Remember to follow and subscribe, and stick around. I'll probably be back in just a few minutes with, like I said, Darkest Dungeon. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.